day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this space. Today, we come with someone who bears a vision, a Christian lady, an economist, who also pursued a bachelor's in business administration, a certified public accountant, a real estate guru. I can't mention all of it. Oh, I forgot. A good friend, a good sister, and what can I say? And someone who is always willing to move an extra mile for each one of us. Welcome with me, Basemera Roda, Professor.
Oh, thank you so much. I am very glad to be here. Thank you, Amy. You said I introduced myself, did
Yes,
you?
please.
Oh, okay. My name is Roger Basemera. Like she has added, I didn't think those are things that come out when you're dealing with people that you've seen in your childhood. We will talk about how that came in. That's a nickname from high school. I I've said my names, right?
Yes, you have.
What else am I supposed to say?
Could you please tell us a little bit about your childhood, the schools you went to, how you met me? Okay, that one doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. Currently, beginning from the current or the schools that I could have gone to, the current you have mentioned, I am a servant in a public space, really. And I did a bachelor's in economics, and then I did my master's in business administration, and then I did CPA, like certified public accountant. Why am I emphasizing? It's yeah, it's tough because
It's
you
a
do tough work.
It's a difficult course to do.
Because you're being a profession, I mean, then yeah, it's worth it. I have worked in the private sector before, in the manufacturing industries. I've worked with NGOs, I've volunteered, I've worked with the banking sector. I now crossed over into the public sector, public space, and I am also into now my own enterprise. I'm doing my own business as well. Maybe we'll get to. Then you say what I studied, where did I? Do I start from primary or what?
I think you can start from primary as you
Okay.
come upwards.
Okay. I started my earlier school in Machinde, that is Mother Care, and then I went to BBC, that's all Machinde. I later on crossed over, and after Mother Care in Machinde, I crossed over to Fort Portal and went to St. Jude Primary School, Chegobe. That is where I finished my P7. I crossed over and went to Chebambe Girls. I did 1 to senior 4. That's where we met. Yeah, that's where I met you. And afterwards, I actually crossed to the other side of the West. I crossed to Baranyanji Girls, where we again met. So we've been in each other's spaces. So I went to Baranyanji Girls. I did my HSC there. And then afterwards, I finished. I went to university. I did Ndeje University. I did a bachelor's in economics. I finished. I did Makerere University for my master's in business administration. I did ICPAU, and then there's so many other courses that I keep doing. I study. People say I studied to escape myself, but here I am here. So now that's it. Yeah, okay.
That's good to hear. So from the studying part and then the business part, I know you did business, but not everyone who does business actually ends up doing business. So what was the beginning of you seeing that, oh, I think I'm actually good at business? What I can remember is that even when we were in school, you actually did business.
Yes.
You can tell us more about how your career started, or maybe your inspiration
Where do I start from? Okay.
from high school or primary. Did you also do business in primary?
Oh God. Yes, I did. That's the ironic bit of it. So my story actually stems back from primary, as you say. It starts from the things that parents do without necessarily knowing that these are things that are bringing out things in kids. I remember I was in primary school then, when we would go home with my grandmother, my paternal side, and then being a last born of like 13, that home already had all my big sisters and brothers. So we were expected to go to the garden to dig. So you dig for the family. So for her to motivate us, she gave us small gardens. So she said, you have from 6 to make sure you fetched your water, you have done your gardening. Then as long as you're done at it usually would take us up to 10 to 11, 10, 11, then you're free to do these other things and also attend to your gardens. So we had small little gardens that they would give us as children. And I vividly remember that time I chose to put sugarcane. Either because of my laziness or maybe I was a child and I didn't know how to attend to any of those things, while everyone else was using theirs for beans or whatever it was, peanuts. I had peanuts because I wanted them to roast them and eat them. Then I also had sugarcane because I wanted to eat sugarcane. So my garden had sugarcane and peanuts. So I went to boarding school. At that point, I joined boarding when I was in P5 till I finished campus. All through was boarding. So when we went for boarding, on return, our grandmother would give us money and say, whatever you left in your garden, I harvested.
I understand.
And I sold. So do you know 100 shillings, I think, would get us like 5 pancakes then.
That's true.
So for me, it was the first inspiration of, wow. So my sugar cane, then she says, people came and bought your sugar cane. Chukumi, baby. Oh, you find she has kept for you 500 shillings. But at that point, it was a lot. Or not to mean that I'm too old, guys. No.
But it's okay.
No, we are talking about the 2000s, really.
That's
We're
true.
into the 2000s. That's what we're talking about. And 500 shillings. And then for me, it was an inspiration. So we actually asked for more space because we had the land. So we took up more space. And I was a child. Then I got into P7 and then crossed over into high school. But that was how my love for beginning now to make money. I don't know if that is business or being money-minded or money, chasing the monies. And that evolved to, I joined high school. And then that was Chewambe in senior 2, if you can remember.
I think I hadn't joined.
You hadn't joined, yes. You were class lower.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So in senior 2, while I was in Chewambe, I am that girl. Then the name comes up, the professor of, okay, fine, you're excelling and everything. But if anyone knows me, they will know that I can be in all spaces at all time. Like, I am everywhere. Like, my hands are everywhere. They're always itching to try out things, to do things here and there. So I found myself in one club, which was, I think it was the wildlife club. It was that science club, wildlife club. So we had to do trips. And one of the trips that they had organized, we were supposed to come to Kampala. The Kampala that which I exited to go back to the village, I had to return to Kampala. So we had a trip where we were supposed to come to Kampala. It was a study trip. Now, I have an uncle, my maternal uncle, David. So he gave me a camera. We're not talking about this digital camera that is recording us now. No. That the camera where you had to first remove, put the film, then position it. He taught me how to position it. Then you're supposed to press the button. You keep taking. So he said, oh, I have a camera, and since you're going for your science trip, you need to take this camera along. I went. We started touring, moving around all over Kampala, children from Fort Portal. I took pictures. Everyone, like, I would get everyone. You know how I want? Like, I want people come closer. Like, I always want to get people together. Let's take these pictures. So surprisingly, because in the children, no one knew how to operate this camera. So it was always me taking pictures. That's why it's easier now. we're in a group, I am always on with pictures of people. Like, before, I would have captured your moment even when you don't know. Or you are at a function, say, take me a picture, I can't even sleep and take that picture. Because these are things that I took on when I was a child. So I did one film. It got done because he had bought for me 2 films. Now, the trip ended, I went back. Hey, how was the trip? The trip was fine. Can I develop the pictures? He went developed. So when my uncle developed those pictures, he realized out of, I think one thing was bringing what? About 50? I can't remember, I don't know.
Can't remember.
Copies. I had 3 pictures are the ones that were mine. And these were 2 films. He looked at them and said, I invested money in this film. I invested money to develop these pictures.
And you disappointed him.
I'm like, where are the memories that you captured? Then I told him, no one knew how to operate this camera. And then he says, oh, by the way, you actually did it well. You didn't even cut off the children's heads. So then he tells me, do you know, you're going back for next term. How are you going to keep these pictures? I can't keep them. You're going to take these pictures and take them and sell them to the children. Each of them sell their copy 500 shillings. I took those pictures to Chebambi. I sold them. I called him on call box. We didn't have phones then.
Yeah.
Or if we had them, maybe we were not privileged to have them at that time.
Or you'd go and talk to a teacher.
You go to a teacher and talk to them. So I went to the call box, put in the coins, there's MTN thing. And then I called him and I told him, I have money. How much is it? And then I tell him. Then he says, I'm going to come at your staff room. I'm going to ask for people I'm going to ask them that I want to talk to my child. So unknown to me, he had actually bought 5 films. So he said, where is the money? I gave him the money. And then he gave me the 5 films. Then he said, do you have a cook? Then I said, yes. Of course, but being in Toro and Fort Porto, it is. Somehow you find your way around also. So he says, okay, I will find a way to pick those films. Now, did you go back with the camera? I'm like, it's my case. It's like, I want you to put and begin taking pictures of students. Now you realize it can make money. That's how the business started, ladies and gentlemen.
And you did a very good job. I remember we used to have like a few clothes. I think they used to let us only take 4.
Yes.
So she would always bring hers. If maybe you're not looking good, she'd be like, you change into this. So she would usually have extra clothes. That's what I can remember about her.
See, I think that is one of them. That's what I'm saying. These are things that's small. I vividly remember that. And let me just even say sorry to the people who went to SLAKE, St. Leo's College, Chegobe. Because if you look in your albums right now, all the girls' pictures you had are in the same clothes. Very sure about that, courtesy of Rhoda. But for me, it was a way of making the business. So you can imagine at that point as in senior too, because if you got people keep in those particular clothes, they would not take the pictures. So I had to bring in clothes. Oh, did I smuggle? Yes, I smuggled. Oh,
You did.
no teacher is seeing this. Yeah. So there's some pictures had some trousers, some things you would bring in, and yeah. But I can tell you that's how the business ran, and that is how we started having pictures in that school. Until after a year, one other person,
2 other people actually.
Priscilla and
Mary, I think.
Mary, they brought up cameras and also started taking pictures. But we would not even satisfy the demand in school. People needed to send, it's a single school, it's girls. And they needed to send out these pictures to the people out there. So that is how it started. That's how you can see how I already started at that point of, let me distinguish myself, bring in clothes, give them to take the pictures. So I did not just do that while I was in Chebambi. So it was majorly that. And I actually, now let me tell you today, I had another source of income. I think my parents may be seeing this for the first time, or they'll see this for the first time and may not understand some things. But I have a grandma who I told her about. There was what they introduced as a bursary in Chebambi. In school then, if you would perform first position, second position, third, position, they would pay for first position, they pay full of your school fees. Second position and second, they pay half. Then the other one, like a quarter. So they would. So I can tell you that whereas everyone else gave me that title of getting 100 in math all the time and being a professor, I actually did it as a business. Okay, like not business in such, but as a revenue inspiration, because there was a money component attached to it. So the secret, when I first discovered it, I went home and I told my grandmother. And I told her that they are giving a bursary if you study. Well, she says, you can actually study and you'll get the money. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what would happen was your parents would pay money, you climb, they give you your money, or you actually don't pay. You tell your parents and your parents pay half the money. So when I shared with my grandma at that point, and the people around, it's my grandmother with the student, they're like, oh, actually, it's an opportunity. For the first time, they gave me money, which was my whole school fees.
That's true.
I was from a
place. And it was a lot.
It was a lot of money. I was from a place where my parents were glad to pay fees. They weren't needy. They had the money they would pay. Because I even remember a flashback at one point in primary, I would forge myself to make sure you escape. Like, did they forget you on the list of the people they have to send by mistake for you to just go home and eat food? But yet you are not supposed to ever go home because I don't remember ever being sent home for school fees and all that. But then I did that. So it was this uncle of mine, when we started up this business, he opened for me my first bank account. It was with Stanbic Bank. In senior 2, Stanbic Bank. So the money, he would collect the money. Then he said at one point, like, okay, fine, now keep re-putting the money, keep sending for more films. So at the end of the time, I had a lot of money and would deposit it. So he took it upon himself to make sure that the money is there. So when I told my grandma, and then she's like, oh, but you have an account already. So how about you study? If you get that money, you deposit it on the account. I had money I didn't know what to use for while I was growing up.
So Apuli was your inspiration?
He was my inspiration then.
Okay.
So while in school, I get into my grandma, then we start getting these school fees. I topped my class. I led my class all through senior 1 up to senior 4. And I was getting a bursary. Sorry to my parents. This money. but then it gets back to them, because if you ever interacted with them, they would tell you, we do not know which day that girl asked for pocket money. And maybe it has influenced a lot of my independence right now. Okay. I don't ask for money. Sometimes now when I don't have it, I die with my problems, because now adulthood comes with a lot.
That's true.
Yes. So that's how my story started.
So did you do any businesses while in Boranyanji, so that we seal up the high school business ideas?
While I was in Boranyanji was the high school bit. It was uptight because I chose to do sciences. I was doing physics, economics, math. And it was tight for the 2 years, and you're getting to know in there. I only did one business that I vividly remember. I got success cards. The time when we were dealing with success cards, I'm seeing people canteen. Me, I came in with a lot of cards, so I started selling. People were selling success cards. Me, I was making money. I was doing my pocket money out of that. So in Boranyanji, my business was majorly doing success cards.
Okay.
And yes.
Then what about university? Did you ever do anything that we can say, like, maybe made people call you a business lady in Indeje?
Ladies and gentlemen, first of now, not to divert from the story, I did business, a lot of businesses in Indeje. And just to bring this on board, I remember I had with my father, we had that argument where he had decided and said, even if you apply to any public university, I will not take you there. And I will take you to a private university.
Why did you say that?
Because my sisters a few of them had been in the ones that I was following were now in private, and then all the other elder ones had gone through the public universities. And then there had been a lot of strikes coming up. You're back in and out of home. So he's like, I am tired of all these things. I want you, if I've taken you to school, you are at school, you've gone to study. He would literally drive us there and pick us at the end of that. of the semester. So why I bring up that is he will still see this and never know it. And because it was policy that he is the one who takes you home, my dad, and then he's the one who picks you from school. So you were never expected home at any point of the semester. But now, that for me gave me an opportunity to do business. I can tell you that every weekend I was out of school. Every weekend I was out of school. Not home, you've left the way you leave university. And then you're thinking, you've gone home? No, you've not gone home. Where was I going? I started up a boutique while I was in university.
Where was it located?
That boutique was in our hall of residence, our room. Okay.
Was it allowed?
Now let me bring it up to you. So, like, I feel in all these things, there's the division of where is the law allowed, where is it allowed, and where of how best am I using the available spaces. So it actually runs at first year, I was in normal hall of residence. I mean, the space is limited. So I became a leader in my second year
You've always
at
been a
university.
leader.
Thank you. I targeted that I become a leader. So the privilege that came with leadership was you had a room to yourself and you choose one more person to stay with. So I chose a roommate and then I told her, I think we need space. Now, at that point, that's when I got to realize that while you're at university, the people who are residents or residents in the hall of residence or those that are in hostel, we needed to have things to hang on the wall. And then in second year around that time, we were going to do intern.
Hanging like announcements or something?
No, the wall hanging where you have Jesus loves us, welcome to this home.
Okay.
You have anything that we actually want have anything like hanging behind it. The wall hanging, like your campuses, you want to beautify your space. And the danger that we are talking about is in Luwero. We're not talking about here.
Oh.
It was that long. It was a long journey. So for me, it became more of how best you bring the services closer to the students. So I would walk on Kampala streets and buy those wall hangings at 1,000 because they were made out of paper, and then they have baby, they have baby Jesus, those ones. And I would carry those things and take them to campus, and I'm selling them 5,000. Even if I put transport, I will make transport. Like every weekend, I was on the street of Kampala, but excelling meanwhile.
Yeah.
Okay. Not to mean that you substitute the two. Yeah, like, so I got that and so I would sell. So now internship came and I had the need myself. So we're like, okay, you're supposed to shop. I went. I'm like, how will this seem? So I went out first to try and buy my own clothes. Do you know what time I went? A cousin of mine told me about Owino. It's like, we need to go very early. If you go early, you can get clothes. And, okay, not to say, ladies and gentlemen, I would buy clothes at blouses, shirts, these shirts that you would buy then. Go very early, you're buying them about 1,000, 2,000 shillings. And I am taking them to school, washing them, ironing them, putting them on hangers. And I'm selling a top at 10,000 shillings.
That was good.
I would buy skirts, 2,000 shillings skirts. Just because they have put them in boutiques up there, for you, you would think that they are. And I would sell them. So the same applied to shoes, office shoes. Maybe it informs some things that I've ended up seeing over time about how to dress up and what. But that's how it all started. So in Ndeje, I did that majorly. I did selling of scratch cards. Airtime. Airtime that time was scratch cards. Leave alone now. I don't know. You guys, maybe I'm talking to the .com who may not see this thing. But I also did that selling of airtime, the scratch cards, which I also sold while I was at university. Now the other business that I vividly remember while I was closing third year, a friend of ours who was ahead of us fell in love, found love. And this gentleman was in business. He had a jewelry shop. So she comes and tells us about her boyfriend. So then we tell her, for you to be able to be relevant in your man's life, you need to support his hustle. So I was like, how am I going to support?
So the man is then was having a jewelry shop.
The man had a jewelry business.
Okay.
So we're like, in order for you to support your hustle, and you also need to seem relevant in his life. So she's like, how do I do this? And I'm like, you see, I am selling clothes. If you brought the jewelry, we would actually match it and the girls would buy it. We
That was
started.
another business
That was
idea.
another business idea, and it birthed. So we would get that friend's jewelry. So we reached at a time where we didn't need capital to sell her jewelry. Like now the love grew and the trust was there.
Okay.
So they would bring us and give us jewelry. We rotate and sell.
So as a
Afterwards, we return the balance and give you the money and remove our commission. That's how we earned well one university.
so as a young campuser,
Yes.
or maybe a young student, when you did business, what were the challenges that you encountered during that time? And then whom would you speak to see like you like overcome those things? Because I'm seeing in the current world, we're having a lot of youth who are just there doing nothing. Remember, right now we have a lot of internet, a lot of time to spare. So how would you advise a young person, a student or a campus student, on how to overcome certain challenges and how much to start with? Because capital also needs to be talked about. You might have had someone giving you, a pulley giving you the films to start with,
Yes.
or someone giving you money to start with.
Yes.
But for someone who probably has limited resource,
Yes.
how would they like start up? We need a startup for the students.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Now that gets me to actually say, your first question was
The challenges.
the challenges. Yes, I can say that while I was doing business at the university, it was not even about what challenges I'm facing or growing this business. It was about money. How much have I gotten? How much have I invested? How much have I gotten in?
Okay.
So whereas it gets with time as you grow to put concentration, it was more of how much am I putting, how much am I getting out? And the challenge that, of course, that came with that was, just like you speak, when they don't take the clothes, you keep the stock. But thank God it is stock that never goes bad. So sometimes you would have that stock which you would end up giving away. But even if I would give it away, the money I've already made has already covered for all this.
I understand.
Yes. So, and your second question was asking me about what advice I would give, or the other challenge was balancing the business versus the books.
Okay.
So I had to choose a business that was more convenient, because I could sell the clothes. Like, you want them, you will check on me when I am in my hall of residence. I just don't have to get out of class
So you
for me
set
to
boundaries.
sell. Set the boundaries,
Okay.
and know what is appropriate. So this takes me to the question that you asked about the campus, the people who are at campus, the resources, what can they do? Ladies and gentlemen, now let me speak to my young brothers and sisters. What businesses can you do while you are at university? I have shared my experience of the businesses I did, but there are very many more. First of all is first identify the need that you have around you. What is the need? What are you trying to solve? What is that the people around you desire? Because that is going to inform, because as you do business, you really want the sales. So it's important for you to know what is the need of the people around you. What time do you have as a university student for you to be able to flex? So I'm giving you the principles to look at, because the business ideas are very many. But then I'm telling you the things that you need to pay attention to first before you make the choices as we get into discussing. Understand where is your strength. What are you good at? Are you going to be able to market the things? Are you good? What is your social capital even at university? What do they love? What do your friends love most? Then you look out for the opportunities that are in there. So as a student, I did business as a student, and I know there are very many business opportunities. Or one that I left out, which I am going to, let me give it to you, is you can consider assistantship, which you can call maybe teaching, assistantship, teaching, or research. Among the things that I actually earned money from was doing research for people that were in higher. We were not that I would sit and do the research. I didn't have that technical capacity, but we would collect data. We would move. You're doing data, you're collecting data about students. So you give me your forms, I go. and distribute questionnaires, and I bring them back. For every questionnaire that I bring that is filled, you pay me my 5,000 shillings.
And you know the advantage
Yes.
today is that if you do business, we have internet, we have WhatsApp, we have Instagram, we have Twitter, we have all those platforms. So you can get your product there and start marketing without being taxed, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what was coming actually. You actually, one, do teaching. As a student, I'm speaking to the students. You can teach. You can be an assistant. You're not a lecturer, but lecturers sometimes have their marking guides and want help. Though it seems illegal, it is something that they do. They take on, it's not actually illegal, they take on assistantships,
Okay.
which you could be at university and you're actually doing your master's. Because at one point we're marking those things and I got the money out of it. You can teach, you can collect data, you can do data entry. Ladies and gentlemen, at campus, you have the time. You can create content. Do you know how much time you spend on your phones, on YouTube? Do you know how much time you spend on TikTok? Do those videos because those platforms pay. The more viewership you have, the more you're able to get money. You can do content creation. Thirdly, we are in an environment where one of the business that I'm doing currently, like we're still at the back, when I bring you the front, you have online, like she mentioned. You have opportunities where you can even market things that you know that someone has a shop and they sell. Just take the pictures, market them online. When someone wants them, go pick it from the person who sells it and then take it. That is something that doesn't need you to sink in your capital for you to first see it. That is something that I did. I sell on Jumia. You will see it. My shop is on Jumia. I don't need to have all this stock in my... I just need to know a person. I just need to have a plug and know where is it offered cheaply, what is the market range on Jumia, how much are they selling it, where can I get it, do I have someone that can supply it constantly? And then you can market that. You can go on as a student and also part-time. Now that comes with you understanding what are your work schedules. There are people who just need call center. People want people who sit on call center. Call center, you work in the night. There are jobs that happen that you have to work in the night or you work online. You don't have to be physically present. Those are opportunities that you can seize as a student and take on and do. Plus the many that I have shared that I've done and so many other opportunities out there. So when it comes to capital, choose what is within your means. There are so many businesses, but it's also important to consider the amount of money that you can have. There are those that are capital intensive and there are those that are not capital intensive. The things I've talked about, you don't need a lot of money to do. What do you need for you to be able to go and collect data? Nothing. Or the person who facilitates you, collect data, enter it in a system, give them a file, give money. You're looking for survival. I'm opposed to things where you sit, a connotation that has been set that a girl child will sit and wait for money. Because people take advantage of you in the end because they feel you can't meet. So you're going to end up doing things that are illegal or go and sell your soul for you to be able to afford this lifestyle. So you can do things that we've mentioned and so much more.
So now we've talked about your business ideas during school. What about when you were done with school? Did you do more? Did you venture into more business?
Yeah.
Could you please tell us about it?
Oh, thank you so much, Immaculate. I actually did businesses after I left school.
Okay.
Once I left, I went and did internship with Postbank, and then I crossed over and went into NGO volunteering and all that. So the businesses that I did were majorly when I left the NGO world, I crossed over to the manufacturing industry. And there I was the accounts assistant. I had time on myself. I'm very fast with things. I will do the assignments, I will do the work faster. So I have a lot of time so I would, after 5, move. I did business cards. I asked that I get my dad's company and do business cards. So I would move in offices and tell them I am doing shopping. I'm available. I can do shopping for you. I have time to shop for you.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I had cousins that I knew were home were also not idle. They didn't have jobs that they were doing. We are available to shop. We are available to bring for you general merchandise, and especially Christmas trees and accessories. I can tell you that was in 2013. till today as we speak, people are asking me for Christmas trees. And for me, that alone has taught me lessons of do not despise the humble beginnings and all that. And then the things that you do like sometimes, okay, I have the lessons that I'll pick, which I'll share later. You can easily jump from one into the other, because for me it was more about money. It was not about growing an empire at that time, which has changed over time. So I did the Christmas trees, we did the shopping, we did events management. I had a friend, Onen. We teamed up and did a company. You know how people tell you, oh, you're very confident. Oh, you're very like this. So we're like, then Onen one time because I met him, he was the chairman of my brother's wedding meeting. We became friends. So he introduced me to this and like, I saw you in the wedding meeting. They called you on to auction. You looked young, but you were bringing the audience on. I think we can start something. We started an events management. He had an events management entity and I joined him. So what he would do, I had many young people who are getting married, bring you on board. We come chair your meeting. We share a percentage of the outcome. And then we tell you, we are going to auction. When we auction, our target is this amount of money that we have to raise. If we raise, this is what you're paying us. So ladies and gentlemen, I chaired wedding meetings for money. I emceed at birthday parties, at people's functions for money. Until when you grow up and they're like, you can't do the big functions. When people start bringing in these functions, you need
They
men.
call it ageism.
No, but not even ageism as such, because okay, once you grow, you become busier. But at that point, it was more of you want to take on some spaces, and people, it's a male-dominated space.
I understand.
Yes, so we're like, okay, fine. So, but I would MC and do the MC work, and then I would be paid. Then we had ushers. We get campusers. I have vibrant people. We're able to source girls, do the clothes for you. You come to us, hire ushers from us. I want 15 ushers. We want, how much are you paying them? You're paying 100,000 per usher. On that 100,000, we'll make sure we had another connection who was a friend. You're able to do the clothes. And then you'll find that for every usher you have spent on them, their facilitation and everything, you have spent, at most you've spent like 60, 70K. And then the balance comes into the entity. So we would do ushering for events, we'd do boxing, we'd organize events. We had one boxing event at home. What haven't I done for money? Not selling my soul is what I've not done. But we did that. So we were into events management, emceeing, and doing all that. I actually also, the other thing that I did and still do was at the printery. Fast forward, I moved on now from that job. I get into public service. I am employed. While I'm there, then they tell you you're required to do, you're supposed to do a course and study for a whole year. You're supposed to print acts and everything you're printing. You're supposed to read this. And we're being paid to study. But then the things to print were very many. So I looked at what they were charging us at a facility for us to print just a page. I'm like, no, I know a guy in one day who can actually print these things. I got the contract. We were 174 people. I got the contract to keep printing material for people. They send material, cost material. I am the first one. No, I'm covered. I'll bring it. I bring. And the money and the profit you would make, even if you did it times 2, having met the cost times 2, it would still not come back to the cost that these people were charging us at that facility. So I took on that. So I did printery. I did those things. Now, just, these are things that I did one time, but for me, they have taught me that everything you're able to do will bring in money. I sold pancakes in a public service government office.
Who made the pancakes?
Who made the pancakes? That's a good question. Now, ladies, just like I told you that some businesses you really don't have to go into, or if I have to sell the beans, the dirty work. I actually had a friend in our fellowship who had a supermarket in Chisasi. She's an elder person, superior. So I went to her, Doreen, talked to her and tell her, you know what? This is what I feel I want to do. I know I am in a workspace where I have the ability to interact with people, and I see people buying things that are not worth the money that they're buying.
So you had the clientele.
My workspace was the business area. So I went to her supermarket. She would give the pancakes, and majorly. And I can remember at that point, I gave myself that pancakes thing, came up as a target. Around that time, we were having a lot of people asking for ministry work, money, to support ministry, to preach the gospel, to do. So for me, it was like, Rhoda, you're a Christian, serve God with your resources. But now if your resources are not enough, the gospel has to continue. So what you're going to do, you're going to be able to fundraise indirectly. So for me, it was a fundraising. It started as a fundraising venture. I'll tell you the challenges that came with it later. But I would buy pancakes, seal them. They're 500. Were they 500? I think they were like 2 pancakes, I think, for 500 shillings. Either 3 pancakes for 1,000. And then I would sell 3 pancakes. Then you're selling 3 pancakes for 1,000. And then you're selling, I think, 2K, something. So I would do a pack. I'm not selling to you one pancake. No, this is a work environment, ladies and gentlemen. So mine was, I am doing a pack of 10,000 shillings. But for every 10,000 shillings, I had 5,000 shillings as profit off that pack. So that 5,000, not as profit, as the money minus what. So you had to pay the border guy, but I had the border man. Pancake time bring. So I would give them 2 days. If your children have taken pancakes today, after 2 days, your children want more pancakes. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to sell pancakes. So some people in my workplace know me as pancake seller. Up to today, they ask me, where did the pancakes go? But I will tell you that business stopped because
the goal was accomplished.
Not even being accomplished. We did not ascertain the availability of the raw materials. So the person who was giving the cassava flour, I was later told by my supplier, started supplying the one that had stones. So the clients were complaining, stone. I'm like, I have a business name to protect. So that's where it went. You get it. So those are some of the mistakes you do, you learn from to establish better. And after that, COVID came. In my workplace, I no longer do. These are things that I've not done. But there are more that I am still doing currently, which we can already talk about. I did masks. My cousin is into supplying medical equipment. Then tells me medical equipment and all these things actually are more than 50%. Like the profit, is 100%. So COVID came, and then I'm looking at people selling one mask 1,000 shillings, and I'm perturbed and disturbed. Then I ask my cousin, and I'm like, how do masks sell? He says, if I give you a box, it has 50 masks. You can sell it at 20,000. So even if I gave you 50 masks at 20,000, I'm almost still selling you what? I'm almost selling you a mask less than that, almost like 500. Where has the math gone? Do the math. So I figured that even if I sold it 20,000, I will still be making the profit, but bringing the service to the people. So my workplace was still working during COVID. People needed masks. People around me needed masks. Supermarkets, I have an association. You have Waranyanji Old Girls. Remember, you own Old Girls groups. And people are asking for masks. Then I tell my brother, says, no, Rhoda, it's okay. I'll give you a box at 10,000. You sell the box at 20,000.
I remember you also sold pulse oximeters.
There we go. So we're doing all those things because at that point, he had them. People were failing to keep track of their oxygen and what, oximeters or whatever. That's how you call them?
Pulse oximeters.
Thank you. She's a doctor. Doctor. Okay. Yeah, so those are things that I have been able to do and stop along the way. Yeah, but they're one-off. But the things that I'm doing, which, can I roll now? Roll you there.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching us. We are here to inspire the young generation that it's not about sitting and being on social media, but it's about getting your mind moving, because we want to build a Uganda that is better for everyone, so that it's not about theft, but it's about what you're bringing to the table. Please watch us again in the next episode. Thank you very much.
Remember to subscribe, meanwhile. Subscribe. Thank you.